Some people say you should have a plan for every card. I'm with you. I don't think you need to have like an exit plan for every card while you're alive, but I do think it's important to have a plan for your collection from a succession planning perspective so that you don't burden your kids if they don't want. You said your son, well, maybe he'll sell them. Someone will get a good deal. And I know you're tongue in cheek when you say that, but I just want to put out there, and I've put it out there before, that, you know, if you, especially if you have a family like kids and that, it's important that we are thinking about what happens if we get hit by that proverbial bus tomorrow and we aren't here to direct our next of kin as far as what they should do to maximize the return of those cards. Because especially if they don't have any emotional, sentimental, nostalgic value attached to them. Maybe they only want to keep one of their dad's collection, one card to remember their dad, sell the rest. They'd rather have the money. And I can tell you, when I had kids and put together my estate and life insurance and all these things, I have a document that is with my last will and testament that specifically says what to do with my collection upon my demise. And I recently went in and literally this week, I went in and I updated it. I put in a new piece of information that I thought was really important, because I don't know when, you know,
when the time comes. Happens. Sure.
You just don't know. So I know that's not what you were getting at. And I'm sure you're a smart guy. I'm sure you've got something figured out. But for anyone else listening or watching who doesn't know, take care of that business, especially if your collection is worth something significant. And that'll be different for everybody. So
sure. Yeah. And it's something, you know, it's tough to think about, right? You know, like I joke with my wife sometimes, like Steke's talking about life insurance and all that, but it's great to have yourself protected in cases. And, you know, it's great from like a collectibles insurance perspective, right? If you've got a lot of stuff at your house, you know, you might be in a storm or, you know, a flood, or your house could burn down or something like that. It's important to have that stuff insured. And then the other thing too, and you kind of hinted at this a little bit, Jeremy, is make sure you have like a trusted friend in the hobby that maybe is, knows what to do with your cards, because I can tell you this, if I, you know, were to pass away suddenly, unexpectedly, right? And my wife would have no clue what to do with cards. Should she keep them? How does she gonna list them on eBay? Does she send them to an auction? Like, she has no clue on that. And so that was one of the best pieces of advice that someone gave me, is have your trusted friend in the hobby that if something were to happen, you know, your wife or your kids or whatever, they know to turn to that person, and that person will do the right thing, you know, with your stuff.
And what I'm about to say may not be important, but I feel it is. Have that written down, put that person's name, because if you and your wife go at the same time, right, there is a condition in my estate to handle that scenario. If that happens, then what does your brother, sister do to make sure your kids are left as well off as possible? Have that friend's name written down, have their phone number in there, maybe their email address, what city they live in. I think that's pretty important. And also stay on top of these things, because your friend might leave the hobby. Your friend might not be your friend anymore. Your friend might pass away unexpectedly. Have a couple in there. Okay, let's keep going. This is it's sort of depressing, but it's very important to talk about that. Matt says next Saturday I'm on his show, but we're recording it on Wednesday, right? Matt says loved Drake's comment about not having to get the same value out of the card that you paid. The cost of ownership, very well put. Yes,